a visible person. So, Mr. Sheung is a seasoned product manager who brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the table. With a passion for product innovation and a knack for strategic planning, Sheung is at the forefront of driving successful product development. His journey as a product manager is defined by a deep understanding of user needs, market research, and agile methodologies. Sheung firmly believes that collaboration and effective communication are the cornerstones of achieving product excellence. Sheung is committed to guiding and empowering individuals aspiring to make their mark in the dynamic world of product management. With experience across different industries and sectors, he understands what it takes to take a product from ideation to global excellence. Currently volunteers as a mentor at the Web Ladies community and at Tech Rail Academy, impacting over 1,000 young people. Ladies, let's product management innovation.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think you're breaking up though. Can you hear me?
Takes over. So over to
All
you.
right. Thank
Thanks,
you
sir.
so much. Thank you
You're
so much for
welcome, sir.
that. Thank you so much, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. It's not just a pleasure, it's an honor. This is one project I don't joke with. Like every time I'm being called to speak at this particular program, I'm always excited, because it means an opportunity for me to, you know, contribute my little quota to the development of, tech in Nigeria, and even to you as, young people who are looking to make your mark in the tech industry, you know. And it's so exciting because, as young lawyers, you're able to learn something new. You're also able to add what I'll be teaching you to what you already know, and provide better outcomes in your life. So it's such a pleasure once again to be here. So please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Can hear you, sir.
All right. All right. Okay,
Yes,
great.
sir, we
So
can
before
hear
I dive in, as always,
you, sir.
yes.
We
All
can hear
right,
you, sir.
great. So before I dive in, as always, I'd like to get to know the people I'm speaking with, right? Just a brief introduction of the people on this call, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to tell me your name, where you're joining the call from, and what your understanding is of product management, or what your expectation is, for this particular session, or what you even know about the topic, right? So I want to be able to know where you're coming from. I want to be able to know what you know at the moment. And that helps me knowing what gaps needs to be filled. So you feel free to unmute, and you can also put it in the chat as well. Tell me your name, what school you're joining from, what you do, and like what your expectations are, what you understand about product management. Have you heard of it before, or have you not? Or what's the little knowledge you have as regards this concept? So who's going first? Feel free to unmute and
Can
speak.
I go first?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. My name is Miriam Ayanowe. I'm a graduate. I just finished NLS. From University of Ilorin. Okay. So you asked what I need to say, what I think product management is,
Yeah.
and I simply believe that project management it just entails guiding a product through its life cycle. That's from ideation down to its development, down to its marketing and distribution and reiteration of improvements on the product. So basically, I feel like that's the entirety of product management. And I my expectations for this session is that I would leave here knowing a lot more about um, how to how a product how to ensure that a product performs well in the market, and um, how to understand um, proper guiding of a product from through its basically all the stages of its life cycle. So basically, that's my expectation for this program.
Mm. Great job, Miriam. Thank you so much for that contribution. Let's have someone else. Let's have another person go at it. Thank you, Miriam. Let's have someone else. Feel free to unmute or put in the chat. Anyone? Or is it my network? Okay, I think I see someone. So let me read from the chat. Says, my name is Esther Similuluwa Ajayi. I'm joining from Afe University. I believe that product management is a process of planning, developing, launching. My expectation is to have more knowledge on the topic and how it relates to law. Very good. You're going to learn that in this session. Anybody else? Let me have two more people. And I would love to, if you can unmute and speak. So just tell me your name, where you're coming from, what you expect to learn, or what you already understand about the concepts.
Good morning.
Yeah, Akinyemi Nifemi, yes. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, sir. My name is Akinyemi Olanifemi. I'm from Lagos State University.
Okay.
And I want to tell you that I know nothing about product management. I only see it online, and I would love to know what it's all about. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much for that honesty, and that's why we're doing this. That's why the organizers have put this event together, because they realize that as young lawyers, you need to know what is in vogue. You need to know what's happening around your world so that you can know how to contribute better, right? So very good one, Akemi. Let's have one more person.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Akindeju Kuferola, and I'm a graduate of Lagos State University. So I know about product management, and I basically know that product management is the overseeing of the development and nurturing of an ongoing product. And basically, from this section today, I want to learn how to define and execute a product roadmap. And I also want to know how to build problem solving and decision making abilities to manage product challenges effectively. So basically, and I also want to understand the difference between product management and project management. Is it alike or are they totally different?
Very good one. Thank you very much for that. Right. Thank you so much. So please, while you're speaking, every other question you have, please ensure you write it down. So even while I'm also speaking, I'm going to answer some of your questions in the course of my explanation, right? But if you also have more questions, just like the one you just asked, I'm very happy to take them. So feel free to write your questions on your notepad, on your notepads, and let's take them during the Q&A period. But thank you very much for that intro. And yes, so with that, I think we're good to dive in, right? We're good to go. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, maybe one more person. Does anyone still wants to speak? Maybe you love a shot at it as well, because I love some of the questions you're asking. So does anyone also wants to go at it? Yeah, okay, go ahead. I see someone's hands raised.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good
My name
afternoon.
is Asha Kujwan. So I'm joining from the University of Calabar. And
Oh,
honestly, I don't know anything about the marketing program as a paper. So, and I would also like to know more about it. That's all I have to say. Thank you for coming today.
hmm. Oh, nice. Okay. Thank you very much for that intro. Thank you very much for that. So we're going to be talking about like one. My goal for this session is that by the time we are done, you would be able to, like, if you get asked outside, that, oh, what's product management? You'll be able to at least give a simple definition of what it is, right? So this session is going to take you from zero knowledge to a point where you are like, okay, now I think I know what I know if this is something that I want to even go deeper into, or how do I even apply this thing to what I know as a lawyer? How do I use this information, for your career path, right? So we're going to be looking at all of this during this session. And once again, I would like to say um, thank you to the organizers. Thank you, Deborah, and to the team, the rest of the team, for putting this together. Because if not for this initiative, we won't be here today. So thank you so much for putting this together. All right. So we'll be diving in. I'm going to be sharing my screen. So feel free to let me know once you see my screen. All right. Should be coming up. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Anybody else? Can you all see my screen? Can anybody else see my screen?
Yes, we can, sir.
Oh, great, great,
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, I
great.
can.
All right, great. Thank you. So we're going to be looking at the theme: digital pioneers leading innovation in emerging technologies, right? And the sub theme, which is product management in tech, from ideation to market in a digital world. So, and I'll be taking you through this session. And just like the moderator has said, right, one thing you are like rest assured is within this session, I'll be bringing to you all I know, with my years of experience in the field, working with different startups and organizations across different phases. So from ideation down to the growth stage, down to like the maturity stage. I've seen products grow, and I've seen the witness the different stages in which a product or the life cycle of a product. So I'm going to be able to like tell you, what this means. And feel free to always ask me any, like, you can stop me at any point to ask your questions, right? Because this is something I want you to take seriously. So if you want, even if it is outside of the scope of this presentation, feel free to ask me. I'm willing to answer at any point. All right, so let's dive in. All right, now to the first question, right, which is the most important question. Product management as a concept. What is product management? We hear this thing a lot and we're like, what does this thing even mean? Like, I hear product management everywhere I go. What does it really mean? So now let's break it down. What is a product? Right? Let's start with the concept of what a product is. Right? Now, I'm sure a lot of you are listening to me via your phone, right? That phone you're carrying is a product. Or if you're listening to me via your laptop is a product. Now, we all have the idea or concept of what a product is as in terms of something that is tangible, right? But guess what? the idea of a product even goes beyond what is tangible, right? So whenever you whenever you unlock your phone, I click on WhatsApp. WhatsApp, as it is a product. You go on Instagram to post a picture. Instagram is a product. You have an application for maybe your dictionary, legal dictionary. It's a product, right? So now think about it. The concept of a product goes from something you typically use from hardware to software, right? And let's define products from the sense of functionality, right? When you say something is a product, what does it mean? It means that when you're able to use something that takes you from a problem to solution, that is from the point of you needing something to the point where you're like, okay, I am okay. I've gotten my answers. And I'll give you an example. I want to calculate something and it's a lot, like it's a huge number, and I want to do this very huge calculation. Now I go on this calculator app, I type in the numbers, I do the multiplication, whatever I want to do, I get my answers, I'm good. Now the calculator as a product has taken me from my problem to a solution. I'll give you another example. Oh, I need to communicate to someone. I need to pass a particular information, or I need to catch up with my friends. Then I open the WhatsApp app on my phone, and then I text someone, or I call them, or whatever I do, I connect with them and I pass that information. Now it means WhatsApp as a product has taken me from the problem state to the solution state, right? So think of a product as something that is created to solve a problem. What is a product? Something created to solve a problem. Never lose sight of that. It's a critical concept. Whenever you think about this, it means that you never, like, whenever you become a product manager, you'd always create products that solve problems, because people create products that don't solve problems. So the core essence of a product is for it to solve a problem, right? To solve a need, right? Now, I believe we all understand the concept of what a product is. I believe it's so clear now. Now, let's now go deeper. Let's even go a step further. What then is product management? Now I know what a product is. And what then is a product management? What then is product management? And what does a product manager even do? Right? Now, a product manager is that person that is charged with managing the life cycle of the product, managing the product in itself, right? So now let's go deeper and think about it from the sense of where it starts, right? Let's think about this, like how a product comes to life, right? So we're thinking about it from the ideation point of view down to the conceptualization and all of that. Now, I'll give you an example. Right on the chair I'm sitting right now, I'm thinking of, let me create a mobile app that helps people to know when next it would rain, right? So that whenever they're going out, they can plan their day, and or maybe farmers that are planting stuff, they can know that, if it's going to rain, we shouldn't plant on these days or whatever, right? Now I have that idea in my mind. That's ideation, right? Now, the moment I put pen on paper and say, this is what I want to do, right? I've taken it from an idea to a concept, right? I've built the length and breadth of what I want the product to do. I want the product to do this. I want the product to do that. I want it to be able to detect weather. I want to use AI to map the patterns of the cloud. I want to use IoT to send notifications to other people on their devices about the weather forecast. So I begin to map out the concepts of what my product to be like, right? So then I now get to a point where I build an MVP, where I get developers, I get them to do the simple coding, build the interface, do the design, and then we have something that we can test and we can demonstrate as a value that can actually solve the problem I want to solve, right? So me as a person, as I've taken this idea of mine from concept to MVP, I've performed the role of a product manager. So a product manager is one that really helps the product scale. So from idea to concept, from concept to MVP, from MVP to growth stage, right? Where you are like, okay, now I have this MVP. Let us scale. Let us grow. Oh, let us get to the maturity point. Let us hit higher climb. Let us increase our revenue, right? So a product manager's job doesn't just start at ideation, and it doesn't even end at to market, right? The product manager's job continues as long as the product exists, right? So a product manager is the one that does all of the whole documentation. Oh, what is this product going to do? What are the features? What are the how will it work? Then what are we building first? What of all the things I want this product to do, what are we prioritizing? Right? The product manager manages the prioritization stage. Then it goes further in working with the people that will build it. Okay, this is the timeline. Oh, for Q1, let's release this feature. Q2, let's release that feature. So a product manager ensures that what that thing he had scoped out, that thing he has prioritized, there is like people are actively working to build that thing. And then once it is built, the product manager's job doesn't end there. It still goes further to ensure that that product succeeds, that customers get to find out about it, that it is sold the right way, and you generate revenue, right? And it doesn't even stop at that point. It continues to the point where if people are using it, what problems are they facing? Are they having issues? Are there bugs? Do they want something more? Do they want us to remove some things? Do they want us to add some more stuff? You know, what are the numbers? Like, am I having a higher churn rate, or am I having a higher retention rate? So I'm checking those things to optimize my product. So whenever you hear this saying that a product manager's work like continues just as much as the life cycle of the product, that's what it means. You're there from the get-go, you're seeing the product through from all the phases, either at the initiation stage or the maturity stage or the go-to-market stage. Like, there's always something you have to do as a product manager across this cycle, right? So product management is aligning the product vision with business objectives and market needs, right? So it basically means that when you think about product management as a concept, right? Product management entails you managing the vision. Like, vision is like, what is this product going to solve? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to solve with this idea, right? That's a product vision. So you're aligning the product vision with the business objectives, which is, we want this business to be able to be the number one, maybe fintech or health tech. We want to be able to get 1,000 users. We want to be able to grow our revenue. So those business objectives are like, how do I ensure that this product doesn't just get users, but it also helps the company to grow? And market needs are like what users need, like what is that thing that does not exist that we are bringing to the table, right? So you need to be very conversant about these concepts. I'm going to ask some questions at the end of this session so that I also know that you're grasping this. But the study of product management is basically you aligning the product vision with the business objectives and market needs, right? So I believe a lot of you now have a better idea of what this is. Now, I remember in the previous cohorts, there was something we called product innovation and product iteration. Product innovation, product iteration. They sound very familiar, but they are two different things, right? And at the end of this session, I'm now going to bring it home. I'm going to tell you how you learning this, how it's going to change your life as an individual, right? What this means for you and what your next steps should be. So, make sure you stay tuned. Now, we're on the next slide. It says Introduction to Product Management in Tech, right? And I'm sure you can see this diagram, right? Please let me know if you can still hear me loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
We
We
can
can
hear
hear
you,
you
sir.
loud and clear.
All right.
And we are great. Session
Awesome.
is interesting. Thank you, sir.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. So now we are going deeper into what the idea of product management is, right? You see the thing called UX. UX means user experience. Tech means the engineering part. Business means like the aspect of like business operation, administration of the management of the business. Then at the center, you see product management, right? So The idea of product management comes from the point of you are ensuring that what users need and what the engineers are building must be the same, and that that same product must also help the business grow. So you are in the middle of these three circles. So UX means user experience. So how are users enjoying? What's the experience with this product? Tech means people building, the people that you are engaging to bring that product to life. Then business means people that are funding, that is the founders, the people managing the business, right? So as a product manager, you have to ensure that you are not just focusing on what engineers want. You're not just building with engineers and you've forgotten about what customers need. Or you are building something that is basically going to drive revenue, but it's not something users find relevant. Or you're focusing on what users need, but there's no like resource to build it. So it has to be balanced. That's why you see that there's a small dot in the middle of the concentric circle, right? It means that as a product manager, you have to find a balance between what users need, what the engineers are building, and what the business outcomes should be like, right? Because if a product succeeds, the business will succeed. If a product succeeds, it means engineers, what they're building would, they'll have more stuff to build in future, and the product would not ultimately die, right? So you need to understand how this plays out. So product management in tech involves overseeing the life cycle of a product from idea to launch and beyond, right? So it begins with ideation, validating concepts through customer feedback while aligning with the company's strategic objectives, right? So, and this really encapsulates everything I've been saying, right? Let me see an example I could give you. And I want you to speak to me about this, right? Have you ever downloaded a product or a mobile app or visited a website, and then when you got on it, like you got to a point whereby the thing you were trying to do, you couldn't do it, you got stuck. Either the sign up was not working, or the login wasn't working, or it was just so many things together, and you just got lost and you had to leave the platform. How many of you has this happened to before? Feel free to unmute and speak. I can't see the chat, so feel free to unmute if you're hearing this. So how many of you can relate to this particular thing where you use a product, or it's a website or a mobile app, and then you tried working your way around it, and then it was just so frustrating and you had to just abandon it? Either you were trying to pay and there was a problem, or there was just always something and you just stopped using it.
I've encountered this before.
You've encountered this before, right?
Yes, I've hit dead ends when using a product before.
Oh, great. Anybody else? Anybody else? Feel free to unmute us.
Okay, yes, I've experienced that before where I visit websites or apps and I see so many ads that someone that I don't even know what to do, then I can't get the job done, then I just have to maybe delete the app or go away and should maybe go see what I want to do in another website rather.
Oh, great. Awesome. So you see that the job of a product manager is to ensure that what you just narrated never happens, right? If you have a problem and you're trying to solve it by using a particular product, the job of a product manager is to ensure that what he has built actually solves the need, right? So it's like every day. That's why in tech, right, management is now one of the hottest topics. It's probably one of the most important fields in tech, right? Because if you have engineers, you have front end, back end, DevOps, all these people who are good at building, but they don't know what users need. They don't know what the user experience is. They don't care. They just want to just build. They're less concerned with how the users experience the product, right? So it is now your job as a product manager to kind of like ensure that what you're building actually is relevant and is functional and it serves the purpose, right? So, and before we start discussing about emerging technologies, and some of the new concepts in the field, it's important to know that which one of the things I mentioned initially, what is the difference between product innovation and product iteration? Difference between product innovation and product iteration. Those are two standout concepts, and I'm going to explain to you. Right now, when you think about a product, you are using so many things to solve that, like the problem. Remember, a product solves a problem. So when you create a product, you are using certain tools to solve that problem. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a very good example. Normally, if you want to buy food, right, you would typically need to go outside of the house, get dressed, get a car, and then visit the restaurant. Now, you now have a mobile app, Child Deck, Glovo, where you can actually order food without leaving your house, right? You're just in your house, you order for this food, and it gets to you in 5 minutes. So it has saved you time, it has saved you the cost of transportation, and it's just more comfortable. You just go outside, meet the delivery guy, and collect your food, right? Now, what has happened between those two instances? The difference is there's introduction of innovation. Innovation is, oh, now I've brought out a mobile app that can solve that problem of you spending money on transport and you spending time, to commute to get food, right? So what is the tool I've used in this case? I've used the mobile app, right? Now, in different scenarios, you find out that people use other tools to solve other problems. And I'll give an example. Blockchain is one of them. Oh, say, for instance, payment is insecure. People are trying to pay for something, and I realize that, it's slow. It's insecure. There's so many issues, right, with volume and tracking and whatnot. And then I have this mobile app whereby, normally payments, I tell them to send I put my account number there, and then, just do a transfer. But there are a number of things that happen within the point of transfer. Either I don't see it in time or whatnot. Then I now introduce innovation and say, you know what, let's introduce blockchain. Let people be able to pay at a few clicks. Right? Now, in this case, the tool I've used is called the blockchain as a concept. Now, so in different products, you find so many introductions of innovation. AI is probably the hottest thing right now. So typically, whenever people want to solve problems, before you go on Google and you find your answers, which is not bad. But now, in the past couple of years, 1 year or 2 years, we've had the introduction of a concept of a tool called AI that allows people to be able to answer questions just by chatting, right? This didn't exist before. And by just chatting, you can tell this thing to do a calculation for you. In fact, it has gotten so advanced that you can tell AI to paint something or draw you something or prepare a document or prepare a table. This was never possible like 20 years ago. So innovation, the idea of emerging technology is the fact that you are introducing innovation every time. And I'll give you another real life example. If you look at where you live right now, some of the things in your house did not exist like 10 or 20 years ago. Some of these things maybe like 100 years ago, they didn't exist, right? So innovation is like bringing in new concepts to solve our existing problems, right? Because human problems will never stop. We will never stop facing problems as human beings. So innovation is, how do we introduce new ideas? How do we introduce new concepts? How do we leverage new trends? How do we leverage newer innovation to solve a need, right? Now, if you think about it, what then is the connection between innovation and product management? It's so easy to see and it's so clear. It means that if you are trying to solve a problem, you are creating a product. And when you are creating a product, you need innovation. You need to be able to think of things you are putting together. You are strapping so many innovation concepts together to solve that problem, right? So that's why, as a product manager, you must understand what this is. You must understand new trends in emerging tech. You must understand how this plays out, right? So it's important for you to internalize this, right? I'll give you another example, right? So innovate, just to make you understand how innovation works, right? Before now, let's say a couple of years ago, right? If you wanted to, um, if you wanted to, for instance, let me give you an example. If you wanted to go to Abuja, you need to like go by road, right? Now you have the airplane that allows you to go even faster, and you still get to Abuja, but you get there at a better time, in a better time, and in a more convenient way. So in this case, the innovation is the airplane. So problems would always be problems, but innovation would always mean that we will keep solving these problems in newer ways, right? Innovation means that we will keep solving problems in newer ways. Now, I believe that concept is clear to you of what innovation is, right? Now, let's look at iteration. Iteration is you, like, it's called mental development, right? It means you developing a product in such a way that um, it keeps getting better. So I'll give you a practical example. How many of you go on your app store, or you like what you're using a particular app, and then the next minute they tell you, oh, sorry, you have to update this thing, or it will expire in 30 days. You need to update your app, right? What happens is whenever you like do this new installation, you see that, oh, maybe before the button was green, now they've changed it to red. Or let's say before, if you wanted to click on call, the call was at the bottom. Now the call button is at the top. So iteration is like saying that you're making changes. It's not innovation. You're not really like bringing in any new trend to solve the problem, but you are adding changes that is making the product better, right? So you're basically saying, okay, based off of how users are using my products, oh, I realize that there's a particular button that they can't see, it's at the bottom. So let me bring it to the top. Oh, there's a particular page that it keeps rolling and rolling. Oh, let me take out this page. Let me replace it with something else. So iteration is you making those little changes, right? So product iteration means incremental developments within the product, like changes that are based off of helping the user use the product better, right? So it's important to know the difference between product innovation and product iteration. Product innovation is you introducing a new tool or a new trend or a new idea into how you approach a particular problem. Meanwhile, product iteration is you developing a product incrementally by solving the minor problems, right? It could mean you fixing a bug. It could mean you introducing a certain flow that helps the product function better, right? So that's very critical. So we're going to look at the next slide, right? So now, if you want to be a product manager, you think about it. What skills do I need to have, right? There are a lot of skills, but I'm going to mention a number of them. First one is you need to have soft skills. You need to know how to communicate with people. You need to be able to think strategically. You need to know how to communicate. You need to have user empathy, right? You need to be able to know how users behave. Oh, how do they think? What's their experience when they use this particular product? And learning from that. You need to be creative. You need to be a leader. You need to be able to know how to manage time. You need to have tolerance. So many other skills that you need to have. Road mapping, all of that. Now, I remember one person initially asked a question that, what then is the difference between product management and project management, right? Now, a project manager basically does one thing, right? It is basically delivering a particular outcome, regardless of if it is needed. It's not user focused, right? It's not project management is not user focused. It is outcome focused. So I'll give an example. Let's say we are told that, oh, you know what, we need to deliver a particular software in 2 weeks, right? What a project manager does, the mindset of a project manager is, oh, we have 2 weeks. Okay, front end, you must do this in 3 days. Back end, you must do this in another 3 days. Design, you have 1 day. Okay, funding, how much do we have? What's the time? What's the scope? what are the resources needed, and then ensuring that everything goes according to plan, right, to deliver the outcome. So it's focused on outcome, nothing more. It doesn't care about how users feel, doesn't care about if it is relevant, if it's functional, if it's needed by the market. Well, it's just, it doesn't care about those things. It only cares about what are we told to do, what is the outcome, what's the project charter, what are we trying to achieve, and then execute it, and that's it. That's the end of it. Meanwhile, a product manager does two things. You are doing the function of a project manager, which is you being able to execute, you being able to help ensure that people deliver at the right time. But your job doesn't stop there. You are now the same person that listens to customers, and you're saying, oh, what customers are saying is that they want us to remove this thing. Oh, customers want us to add more. Customers want us to redo the screen, or this page is not visible to them. So you are user-centric, right? You are focused on the fact that, oh, what I'm building, is it now latent? Is it still in vogue, or is it now old-fashioned, right? So you're listening to what customers are saying. You're not just focusing on delivering. No, you are delivering, but you are delivering based off of what users need, right? So there are a number of other roles that a product manager undertakes, right? So one of them is product strategy, market research, product development, product launch, cross-functional collaboration, performance analysis. All of these things are just so many things that relate to what a product manager should really do. But I would like you to note one thing, right? Because in the course of my mentorship, right, I've had people, come to me and say, you know what, Mr. Shell, there's so many things in tech. Like, we need to learn so many things. There's road mapping, there's project management, there's this UI UX, like everything. Like, what do I do? How do I know what to do, what to learn, right? How does this thing come together, right? So there's this 5-step, or stage, or what I call, there's this phase that I've prepared that I know you would also find relevant, right? Now, each of these phases have different actions, and it's tied to like the life cycle of the product, right? And what a product manager should do. So the first stage is called the research. Let me even highlight all the stages and before I explain them. So we have different stages or different phases in product management. The first one is the research phase. The second is the planning phase. The third is the building phase. The fourth is the release phase. The fifth is the refine phase. Let me take that again. Research phase, planning phase, building phase, release phase, and refine phase. Now, if you know all these phases, you would succeed as a product manager. And you are in a position, especially people who even think about entrepreneurship, who think about, oh, how do I become a better person? How do I manage stuff better, right? These concepts are very relevant to you. So let's look at what these phases mean. Research phase means the point where you already have this idea, but you're researching about it. You're saying, okay, how am I sure users need this thing? Look, remember that idea I told you about checking the weather, if it's going to rain, right? If I'm doing the research phase, what I'll be doing is I'll go to farmers and ask them, how willing are they to use an app that can solve this problem? How am I even sure it's the problem they need? Is it something they don't see? Do they have other ways they solve this problem? Do they always look at the sky and they know? Or do they have another alternative system that helps them to detect the weather? So I gather data. I go to, I do user interviews, user surveys. I do computer analysis. All of these things are still within the research phase. I'll look at what other people are doing. How are they solving it, or how is my product going to be better, right? So I look at the problem. I look at what the solution should be like. I look at what competitors are offering. I look at all of these things, right? And I compare, right? So anytime you do research, you should know that it's within the research phase. Anytime you gather data, anytime you have to study something or compare or deep dive into something, it could be internal data, it could be external, it could be qualitative data, it could be quantitative data. So qualitative data is like data that has to do with qualities. That is, oh, Did they say yes? Did they say no? Oh, what's their opinion? When they give you an opinion on something, it's qualitative data. Quantitative data is data that has to do with numbers. Oh, 20% say they want this app that can help them do this. Oh, 50% say they want this app to be able to, it should be on their mobile app, it should be on their phone, or it should be as a gadget, right? So you are measuring based on numbers. So you must be able to gather those data in a way that you can justify what you're building. You are looking at your assumptions. Okay, what are the assumptions I've made? Am I sure that this product would even work in this particular location? Maybe it would work better if in a rural area, or maybe it would work better in an urban area. So you're going to be doing a lot of identifying who the perfect users are, identifying if these users actually need this product or what they currently use, and identifying if this is even a better option than to what exists in the market. So you are basically gathering data in the research phase. Now, when you are done gathering this data, the next thing you do is you move to the planning phase. The planning phase is now where you've already gotten this justification. You already know what customers need. You know everything about how the product should work, right? Guess what you're doing at the planning phase? This is where you now do your documentation. You build your PRD, that is your product requirement document. You state out what the features would be. You state out like the prioritization step, like, okay, what are we doing first? What are we maybe I want to integrate with other stuff. So you highlight all the things you want to do. You focus on the things that are important. Those are the things you build first. Then you now put the things that are like bigger stuff that takes more time. You put them as backlogs, as things you will do later, right? So you build all of those things. You do the wireframing. You can do like the low fidelity wireframing. Like, okay, this is how the page should look. This is how the button should look. This is where users should be able to click. You do something simple, right? And once you've done all of that, you've written all the requirements, you've written that, oh, this thing should do this, it should not do this. Oh, this product should work if these certain principles are met. So you highlight all of those things in a documentation. That all those things are done within the planning phase, right? After the planning phase, you move to the building phase. The building phase is where you now like take this product to engineers. Like people are now actively coding. They are, implementing the wireframe. They're implementing the screens. They're writing the APIs. They're writing the code that ensures that this product will work based off of how you have written it. They test it that, oh, you said this product should be able to give users 24 hours access. So when they build it, you want to be able to see that, okay, yes, check, this is correct. It works this way. So when they are building, you are checking that everything you've documented is achieved, right? So all of those things are done within the building phase. You're also managing the time that, okay, are we still on track? When we said we're doing this in 1 month, is it 1 month, or are we doing it in less than 1 month, or is it more than 1 month, right? So you're estimating time and all of those things. The next thing you do is the release phase, right? So the release phase is where you now take it to market. That's where you now, run ads, you get your sales team to, push it. You do your marketing. All of these things are within the release phase, right? Then there's a refine phase. Refine phase is now that, okay, now we've pushed it to market. People are using products, but there are some issues. People are saying they can't do this. Oh, they can't do that. Oh, they want more. So refining is like, okay, you've gathered data from how users are, what their needs are, and you're optimizing your products. You're now going back to your engineers and say, okay, you change this, you remove this, you add this, so that customers have a better experience. So that's why if you notice on your app store, you see version 1.1, version 1.2, version 1.3, because they keep reiterating, they are refining it. It's just like when you I want to sieve out something, you keep refining so that it keeps getting better, right? You keep iterating every time. So that explains the refine stage. You take the feedback from customers, take it back into the product, and build a better product and release it again, and then another cycle starts again. It keeps going on and on. And if you've heard of the concept called agile, that's what it means. It means you being able to consistently follow this cycle repeatedly. So as you're building, you are releasing. As you're releasing, you are refining. As you're refining, you are building again. You are planning. As you're planning, you're doing everything asynchronously. You're doing it side by side, is on a running basis, like it keeps going on and on and on like a cycle, right? So that explains the concept of everything. See, everything you need to know about product management is tied into all these phases I've just given you, right? Every action, everything they do every day is either one of those 5 things I've just given you. So if you have that at the back of your mind, I believe if you've written that in your notepad, you are one step to being a successful product manager. Now, let's look at product vision. I think I've mentioned what product vision is. So captures the core essence of a product, defines its future direction, outlines the ultimate goal or the value the product aims to deliver, right? And then you can see a chart on your screen. So it talks about the different steps, product discovery, strategic themes, execution, all of these things are still within the concept of research, release, planning, all of those things. Then there's the idea of like strategy, right? So I remember I told you about product vision being that, okay, how do you what are you trying to do? What's the goal? Then strategy now answers the question of how are you doing it? Oh, I want to solve the problem of food delivery in Nigeria. That's the vision. So, but how am I doing it? That's the strategy question. So strategic question can now be, okay, how do I want to solve this problem? Okay, yes, I want to leverage AI. I want to leverage blockchain. I want to leverage this particular type of technology to solve this problem. So that strategy is a question of how. How am I meeting this outcome? How? What's the strategy? What's the plan? What's the roadmap? Right? So you need to know the difference between product vision and product strategy. The difference between product vision and product strategy, you need to have that at the back of your mind. Vision is, where am I going? Oh, I want to build a product that helps women between ages 18 to 25 to measure their income or manage their finances. So that's my vision. Now, my strategy is now, okay, I'm doing this by leveraging data analytics so that they can see a chart that shows them the trend of their income. I'm leveraging banking as a service. Maybe I'm getting APIs from banks. I'm putting all these things together so that my customers can do what I want them to do on my product. So strategy is like how, what's the plan, right? So then you have objectives, you have the roadmap. So all of these things are very, very important, right? And that's why if you look at this chart again, you see that the vision is at the center, which is the core. So vision is what guides the product. Like every time in your product, you are basically asking yourself this question: are we succeeding at our vision? If we're not succeeding, then we need to do something better. We need to change what we're doing. So your product vision is at the center. Then you have the product strategy at the middle layer. So it means that what guides the day-to-day task of a product manager is the vision, right? What is the what? Then strategy is now how. How are we going to do it, right? And on till, the final part. So we've talked about ideation and conceptualization. So ideation is the starting point of an idea, the spark that initiates the creative process. Conceptualization shapes this initial idea into a well-structured plan, right? So we already talked about how you think about something, and then we talked about conceptualization, that is taking that thing you've thought about into something visible, something that looks achievable, right? That's what it means by well-structured plan. So it says, this stage involves identifying user pain points, brainstorming solutions, and validating concepts through tools like MVPs, user personas. Techniques such as customer interviews, competitive analysis ensures the idea addresses a genuine market needs, right? So, this explains all of the things I've taught you about how you take a product from idea to concepts. And then we have also talked about how you are infusing innovation, like, to solve that problem. How this product, what are you putting together to ensure that the product does what it says it would do, right? So it's important to have that at the back of your mind. We've also talked about product strategy. So this says product strategy defines the product vision, the target customers, positioning, key investments, and success metrics, right? Brought to life through roadmaps, prioritizing features using frameworks like Moscow and Rise. So all of these things explains the things I taught you about the planning phase, the research phase. So when you say when you talk about planning, right, what you're doing during the planning phase is you are implementing the strategy of the product, right? So if I say, for instance, my product must leverage AI or cloud computing, I already wrote that in my documentation. During my planning phase, it means that I'm going to ensure that what I'm prioritizing, right, is like in line with my strategy. How am I going to do it? What is the plan, right? What's the roadmap? How am I affecting this idea that I want to like have? So what is the step-by-step plan to achieve this thing that I want to achieve? So that's what the product strategy is done. So it sets a clear roadmap and data-driven insights ensure a structured approach to achieving growth. So all of these things, that even if it looks new, the more you learn, the more it becomes familiar, right? The more you learn these things, it becomes familiar and it becomes easier, right? So we've looked at product strategy, we've looked at product vision. Now let's look at product design and development, right? So I know you've heard design in the course of this session, right? And the truth is because every product starts from design. There is no product that does not have a visible rendering of how it's going to work, right? You have to be able to show that, okay, if I'm building this solution, what would it look like? So that's the design. It's just like how you want to build a house and you call an architect to do like a plan for you, right? So that you know how the house will look like. So even for a product, there has to be a design for it. So product design is a process of crafting solutions to user problems while addressing market demands. It follows a structured approach to generating and refining ideas, which applies to both physical products and digital products, right? Now, further said that product managers work closely with designers and engineers to create user-friendly designs. Agile methodologies enables iterative development, while prototyping and usability testing gathers early feedback and ensuring product meets user needs effectively, right? So simply means in clear terms that whatever you are designing for this product, whatever the architecture, whatever the blueprint of the product is, it has to match what users need and it has to solve a problem, right? That's what it essentially means, right? Then we're looking at scaling and product growth. So we've looked at all the stages. We've looked at the different things that are needed from design to sprint planning to all of those things, right? Now we've gotten to a point where we are like, okay, we are ready to go to markets, right? So it says after launch, scaling focuses on user acquisition, retention, revenue, and growth, right? So, and that's what another thing that makes you different from a project manager. A project manager is not concerned about retention, revenue, or user acquisition. A product manager is more concerned with these things because your job here is to ensure that, oh, am I acquiring users? Are these users staying? Did they keep using it, or are they dropping off? And how much are we making? Right. So yeah, this is what you do under the scaling and growth stage, right? So it's important for you to have this at the back of your mind, always, right? So next slide. So then what are the challenges in product management for tech, right? There are so many challenges. So some of the challenges include stakeholder alignment, managing technical debt. So stakeholder alignment means how you work with people. Because remember I told you that as a product manager, you're working with people. So you're working with your CEOs, you're working with engineers, you're working with so many people that are stakeholders to the product. So you need to be able to know how to communicate these things to them. They're managing technical debt. What this means is managing the backlog. Oh, what are the things that we say we want to do that we've not done yet, right? What are the things that if we don't do that, we can push them for future, or if we don't do that in future, it would affect user experience, right? So those are some of the things those are challenges that product managers have. It could be that, oh, the server we're using, the space on the server is small. It works for us now, but once we begin to have 10,000 users, this server might be too small for that load. So That's technical depth. It means that you need to plan ahead that, oh, what are the things that we should anticipate? So those are some of the challenges product managers face, right? And then keeping pace with market dynamics, right? So, and there are other things on the chart that you can see, global competition, time pressure, product economics, trade-offs, what are you doing in place of the other, and the dynamic work environment. So these are some of the problems we face. So what is the future for product management in the digital world, right? So AI and automation are reshaping how we see things. I mean, in this day and age, there's literally nobody that's not heard of AI, right? So as a product manager, you need to start thinking of, okay, in the next 10 years, it might not be AI, it might be another thing, it might be something new. Before there was augmented reality, another time there was virtual reality. So there's always going to be something new. So as a product manager, you are basically ensuring that, okay, you look at the new trends and then you are thinking about how these trends can be used in solving the problem that you want to solve, right? I'll give you an example. Let's say normally, whenever people want to go somewhere, they use Google Maps, right? But Google Maps is just like an animated version of the where you're going. I could say, you know what, let me solve this problem in a different way. Let me use augmented reality and say that, okay, there's this hardware, there's this glass, there's this thing that if you wear it, it works like Google Map. But the only difference is that you can see how it looks, you can see where you're going, you can see what the road looks like, right? So I've leveraged augmented reality to solve a geography problem, like a problem that is not related to. It could also be in medicine. It could be that, oh, people who do surgery. You want to say that, okay, whenever they're doing this surgery, want to leverage augmented reality where they can see like a duplicated version of what they are working on, and they can see like the guide, or like they can see a simulation of the process, right? So you are leveraging existing technology to solve a problem that is common to man, right? So it's important for it. The future of product management lies in being able to think about these trends and these dynamics and being able to infuse them into your product, right? So next one. So what are the principles of human-centered product management, right? So, and here are some of the steps that you need to have in mind, right? Create products for others with the same care and thoughtfulness you'd want for yourself. So each time you create a product, think about you as a user. How would I use this thing? Once you think about yourself as a user, you're going to be doing something that is relevant, because you already wore the shoes of your users. So whatever you're designing, whatever you're building, you are doing that with the lens of your users in mind. Find the balance between the creative and analytic aspects of product delivery. Appreciate and incorporate diverse perspectives when shaping your product direction, So these are some of those tips, some of the things I need to have in mind, right, while doing what you do as a product manager. Now, we've gotten to the most important part, and I want you to pay very solid attention to this. Very, very solid attention, right? This is the most important part of this session. Now that you now know what a product manager does, right? You understand everything about how a product manager infuses innovation, infuses, iteration. Like, you now understand how the life cycle of a product manager, like, you understand what it means. It now means there's now a question of, how does this apply to you, right? How is this relevant to you? Now, as a young lawyer, right, there's so many things you can do with this information, right? So many things. The first one is, which is the easiest one, is maybe not the easiest, but the first thing out of the three things you can do is you transitioning, right? So after this session, you can then say, oh, this product management looks like something that I have, like I'm good at doing. Like, I understand it. Like, I'm a strategic person. I like to talk to users. This is something I know I can do. You know what? I want to transition. I want to take more courses, learn this thing, and become a full-scale product manager. That's one. You could do that, right? Secondly, what then can you do as a young lawyer? Second thing you can do is you can apply the knowledge of product management into what you do, right? And I'll give an example, right? You can become a data privacy specialist because in every product has to do with data. It has to do with privacy policy and all of that. So you can become a startups consultant. You can become an intellectual property person for startups, right? You can become even in terms of startup registration, business registration for startups. So without you even leaving your field as a lawyer, there are some opportunities that this thing can have for you with this knowledge you have about emerging tech. And so you can become a compliance officer. You can become someone that, because once you have the knowledge of tech, you can apply it to any area of life. So as someone that understands the law, you can become someone who helps all these tech organizations, or helping people understanding how tech would work. And I'll give another example. Nowadays, you have this thing with AI and privacy and all of those things. You can become an AI privacy specialist, like helping companies understand how to ensure that whenever they use AI, the user's rights are protected, right? That can be a huge career path for you, right? You could also become someone that, okay, you handle conflicts within, litigation within startups. That, oh, when it comes with founders, equity sharing, all of those things, all of the conflicts between users and the technology, you can create a niche, for yourself, because just the same way the law field is developing, there's a relationship between technology and law, right? So you want to be able to see, okay, what are this unique field, unique areas that tech has created in the legal field, and then look for how you can dominate create a path for yourself, right? So I've mentioned so many things: compliance, data privacy, AI. It could be a big data special. So many things you can do. Looking at how, policies, legal regulation. What does it say about tech, and how do you help people interpret this information? How do you protect users, from fraud? So many things. So there's so many things you can do as a lawyer in tech. The third thing you can do, right, which I always say, is you can now say, okay, now I understand this product management. Why not let me also build products for lawyers? Let me build a thing whereby lawyers can estimate their chances of winning a case. Or let me build a product that helps lawyers search for any information in Nigeria, any of these high courts, or they're able to, or maybe something that has a combination of opinions, or maybe reviewing a legal document. So there's so many things you can do as a product manager or as a lawyer that understands product management. You can create your own PRD, create your own concepts, think about the problem, speak to users. Okay, how are they thinking about this thing? Why not let me create a technology? Let me create a mobile app that helps lawyers, maybe take better notes, or help them with evidence, like evidences. How do they properly document evidences? So there's so many things you can do with this information that you have now, right? You can build products for lawyers. You can build products for judges. You can build products for the judicial system in Nigeria. So many, because nobody's going to do it if you don't do it. Like, other people don't know what you face, right? But because you understand technology, you understand that, oh, there's AI, there's VR, there's augmented reality, there's big data, there's so many things in tech that can be deployed to your paper and biro like lifestyle. Like, oh, why not let's take this thing? Let's move away from using paper and biro to having a system that can predict things, that can assimilate, that can analyze, right? And then ensuring that this thing actually solves problems, help people do things faster, help judges decide on cases faster, help lawyers prepare their opinions faster. So you can think of technology that you can strap together to do it, because if you don't do it, nobody else will, right? Because you know your problems, right? So those are the three things I want you to do with this information. I mentioned number one, transitioning into tech. Number two, creating a niche within the tech field as a lawyer. There are so many new roles or career opportunities for lawyers that know about tech. Then the third one I said is building products for lawyers or for judges or for the judicial system, right? You can become that person as well. I think there's one they call Law Pavilion, and there's so many tech products that people are creating these days that they call them legal tech, that solves legal problems, right? So I believe that has given you more insight, and I believe that after this session, you have a better understanding of how to navigate life and how you can take this to the next step. Once again, thanks to the organizers of this event. It's an honor and privilege to pass on this information to you. For anyone who looks forward to like learning more from my journey and all of that, I'll put my LinkedIn in the chat. So you feel free, you can send a connection request on LinkedIn, and then you can learn more from time to time, right? So, but for now, I can take some questions. But thank you so much for listening. So yeah, feel free to ask questions if you have. You can raise your hands or you can put it in the chat. Yes. Who's going first? Thank you. I can see your reactions and I can see your all the reactions you've given. Thank you. So do we have questions? Any questions? Even if it's out of scope or within what has been taught, wherever the question is, feel free to ask me. I'm available to answer in the next couple of minutes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the session. It has been really, really amazing, and we have learned a lot. I used to think that UI and UX had some similarities with product management, but I can see that yes, it actually does, although they are not the same thing. But thank you very much, sir. Okay, Miss Shotayo, your hands are up, please. You can ask your question.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for this class. Sir. Okay, so sir, you mentioned challenges and project management in tech,
Oh wow,
but
it's
then I could
pleasant to hear you.
okay, sorry. I thought you mentioned the challenges and project management in tech. Can you hear me, sir?
Okay. Uh,
Can you hear me,
it's
sir?
yeah, I can hear you, but it's muffled. But go ahead.
I thought you mentioned some challenges in product management in tech, but I could only get just two of them. You mentioned stakeholders alignment, which deals with the people you work with, like the CEOs and all. While the second one I was able to get is managing technical debt. So my question is based on that managing technical debt. I didn't really get that. What does that mean? That's my question.
Okay. Okay. So I'll give you an example. So technical, I'll give you a scenario, right? So if there's a child, a small child you bought a shoe for this child. Let's say this child is wearing size 12, right? You already know that this particular shoe, he can't wear it for more than maybe a year or two. At some point, the child's leg will get bigger and this person will need a bigger shoe, right? So technical debt is like saying that, okay, what are the, as this product gets bigger, what are the things I need to prepare for, right? What are things I need to have at the back of my mind? Would it be that I need to prepare a better space for server, or it's more technical related. So it could be your server space, it could be your engineering backlog, it could be like how you handle some certain things within your infrastructure. But debt is like saying, okay, I'm owing this thing. Once I get to that point, I'm going to make sure I plan for these things, right? So that's what it means.
All right, thank you, sir. I get that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Miss Akin Yemi, your hands are up.
Okay. Thank you so much for this insightful session. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I just need a clarification. Is this product management, is it based solely on apps? Like, is the product based solely on apps? Because I noticed that you kept talking about apps and building apps. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Good question. So the concept of product management is largely software tech related. So things that has to do with software or tech. So tech is like how you leverage newer trends. It could be it could be an app, it could be websites, it could be USSD, it could be any interface, it could be maybe your smartwatch, the way the smartwatch. So there's so many ways a product would operate. Now, in other climes, right, there's still a concept of product management, but it's not the way it is being taught. I'll give an example. So, like in a bottling plant, maybe like your Coca-Cola or like your pharmaceutical companies where they produce like all these physical products, there's an idea of product management also in those places, but it's just that it is not taught in this way. So I'll give you an example. I discussed something called agile. So agile is like saying when you are building a product, it's a running cycle. So as you are researching, you are planning. As you're planning, you are releasing. As you're releasing, you are refining, and you are doing it across like multiple times, multiple cycle. In a physical product scenario, it is not like that. They have a different plan. They have a different process. They call this the waterfall method, like whereby they have a way in which the steps that they follow in ensuring that they do. Even cars, like people that produce cars, there's a product management system that works for them. But largely in tech, product management is largely tech focused, right? Most likely other clients use project managers. They like typically you find a project manager in all of these other industries. But in tech, there's a strong preference for product management because there's a belief that a product manager would not just build a product for the sake of it, but would speak to users, would listen to the market, would look at what competitors are doing. Like it's more reactive, it's more agile, it's more aggressive. So that's why you see that there's a focus on software and all of that. Uh, all right, next question.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, Miss Divine, please, your hands are up. You can ask your question.
Thank you very much. Good day, sir.
Yeah, how you
Thank you
doing?
very much for this session. Before this class, I had no idea what product management was all about. But now I can confidently see that I have learned what it is about. So my question is concerning the skills that are required in product management. Do we need to have any technical skills, or all the skills required are just soft skills?
Um, it's because it's not something taught in schools. Like it's not like a discipline, like you have it. So it can be taught, it can be learned. You can take short courses, and then become you need to come from any certain background. I'll give you an example. I have my first degree in English. I studied English at the university, right? But now I practice as a product manager in tech. So it's like you can come from any background. You can come from law. You can come from political science. Just have the skill. Know what it is, and that's the world we live in today. Like once you know how to do something, it doesn't matter where you learnt it. You can function, right? It doesn't even matter if you learned it in 1 week or you learned it in 2 weeks, or as far as you can perform, you know what it is, you can implement what you've learned, and you understand all the length and breadth of that field, then you can perform, right? So it's not tied to, oh, you must have spent 2 years or 3 years. No, 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 right? So once you understand it, you have acquired the skills, and it's not just skills. You also you need to have the competence and ability. So I'll give you an example. You need to know how to do road mapping. You need to know how to do simple wireframing, right? You need to know how to do like write a PRD, for instance, documentation. So there are so many skills that you need to like acquire along the way before you become proficient in the field. So yeah,
All right, thank you, sir.
all right, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Miss Akindeju, your hands are up. You can ask your question.
Yeah. All right. Yes. Thank you very much, sir, for that insightful section. I learned a whole lot, and I can say that I now know the difference between a product manager and a project manager. So as you were taking this section, a question popped on in my mind, and this is the question. So how do we ensure effective communication between the multiple stakeholders in project management, from the designers to the developers and the so many stakeholders we have. So how do we ensure effective communication between them, especially when it becomes quite overwhelming? So that's my question, sir.
All right, good question. Hmm. Okay, good question. Stakeholder management is not child's play. In fact, the biggest problem you face as a product manager is always stakeholder management, because, for instance, you already have an idea of prioritization, methodology, all of these things, but you're going to meet someone in the office and says, "Oh, I don't believe in all these things you're saying. I want to do things my way. I believe in, some people are just so agnostic. They just want to do things the way, and these people are like critical to your product's success. So it now requires you as a product manager to easily know how to manage people, because you're not just managing the idea or managing the life cycle of product, you're also managing people. You're managing not just your customers, but people at the back end, your back office people, your support officers. So there are so many ways to tackle this problem. Some of those strategies is maybe doing A and B testing, doing assumption testing, creating like a charter for the product, creating a plan that, okay, let us have a process of dialogue. Let us, whenever we have a misunderstanding of a particular decision, here is the conflict management process. Okay, do we do A and B testing? Do we take a poll? How do we arrive at decisions faster? How do we communicate our ideas in a way that you manage conflict and people understand that, okay, we are all trying to help this product succeed. So we have to get out of the way and follow a process, a due process, and everybody is accountable to that process. So you learn these things on the job, but you just have to have that, prepare your mind that stakeholder management is a core of your work as a product manager.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Anybody else?
Thank you, sir. Miss Olumuyiwa, your hands are up.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the lessons and the examples you give. I wanted to ask a question, and I feel the answer you gave concerning the stakeholders has to do with my own question. I wanted to ask how these product managers gain or garner customer feedback when it comes to product review, because these days we've had issues of product updates that consumers don't even want, and they complain. Look at WhatsApp, people complain about, okay, why does I have to do an update? Who complained about this update? I want to know what it is like. And I understand, I think these stakeholders sometimes there might be the need to prioritize a product, and maybe stakeholders all they just want to do is just to produce a product and gain money through it. And I have another question too. Is there a limit to, or how did they validate a product idea before launch? Or is there a limit to how people like create websites? Are there rules regulating how websites are created? Can I just go online and just create any website like that? I want to know what it is like. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that question. Very good questions. I see a lot of you are following, actually. Really good. So let me answer your first question with let me start with the website one. Now, you can create a website and not have like a product in itself. So I'll give you an example. For instance, I have this salon and I have a website for my salon where people can just read about my product, read about what I do, and see a page where they can contact me, and that's it. Now, in that case, it's not, I can't call it essentially a product. But if I create a platform where people can book for my salon, book for like time where they can visit me, and now that I'm already going deeper, I'm solving a problem. So you creating a website doesn't essentially mean that you are now a product manager. No. Once you create a system or a flow that solves a need, it's not just about you presenting. A website just basically presents information. Oh, Adekombi and Sons Salon, we are located in Lekki Phase 1. Call us on this number, email us. That's a simple website. But a product goes beyond that. It's more of, okay, can you pay? Okay, I want them to be able to book a session and pay. Oh, I want them to be able to buy online or do on demand, like book a barber that can come to their house and barb their hair, but they can book from their mobile app. So once I begin to do that, I now have a product. I'm now solving a problem. I now have a full-fledged product. Now, the second questions you have, the second question, what was the second question you asked, by the way?
Okay, I asked about how product managers garner customer feedback.
Okay, so there are
And I
different
know that
ways. Yeah, the different ways, right? And I'll give you an example. I know you mentioned something about, these updates, but it's not what customers want and all of that. There's some scenarios where there's some exceptions. I'll give you an example. Look at Twitter, right? For a long time, people have been asking Twitter to give an update that allows them edit a tweet. So when you make a tweet, you can edit it, right? The only reason why Twitter have not the only thing they did was allow you edit in an hour. That was the max they could do. But the only reason why they took time on delivering that feature is because when they do that, it takes away the vision, like it takes away the essence of it. So the moment people can easily change their tweets, right? It means that people can tweet something and then the next minute they change the language, and then it, like, the reaction on that post now looks out absurd, right? And it doesn't essentially help. Like, the concept of Twitter was like, post something, people can react, it can go viral, make an opinion and let your opinion be like solid, and not like after 2 months you can easily go and change it. Do you understand? So in as much as people were asking for an edit feature, Twitter knew that that was not that's not the real thing that needs to be solved. There are other ways it could be tackled, right? So the max they did was they can allow you to edit your tweets after 1 hour of posting it, but after 1 hour, it's permanent, right? So there are some features that you might not like as a customer, but it's required because maybe it's going to help the company not lose money, or it's going to ensure that the company is profitable, or they don't lose their competitive advantage. So there are so many reasons why sometimes not everything a customer says is done, right? And that's why a product manager has to understand the balance between what customers need, what the business needs, versus what engineers are building. You have to create a very good balance, right? So that you're not just tilted to different areas. Then how do you gather feedback? There are so many ways. You could do user surveys, you can do code visits, you can do, you see the survey, you could do ratings. There's the NPS, Eshon, Ellis tests, and I'll show you what that means. I'm sure you go on some platforms and they ask you, how willing are you to recommend this thing to your friend? Or, how do you rate this on a scale of 1 to 10? So those are like ways people gather feedback from customers. Or they could tell you, oh, fill this short form and you get a reward or something. So those are ways people gather feedback, in the product management space. So yeah, hope that's clear. All right. So I've put like my LinkedIn is on the chat. So if you want to connect with me, I think I see some people already sending me requests already. So I'll definitely approve. So I look forward to seeing you grow. I look forward to your success in the field. I look forward to seeing you thrive. I know a lot of you would inspire younger people as you go on in life. And keep doing what you do, and even for this program, ensure you focus, pay more attention to this program, because the goal is to have it change your life. And so many things that they're not teaching you in school, so many things that you don't know, this program is going to teach you. So open your mind, get ready, like, put this out there, talk about your experience in this session, put it out there, and if you ever need my support in future, or you want to like tell me, oh, I just got this job in product management, oh, I just built this product, thank you for this, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn, but thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the session. We really appreciate your being here. Thank you. So, is there any other questions? Any other person that wants to ask any questions? Okay. Please, can we just clap our virtual hands for our speaker and let us welcome the pioneer of the HILTON Top Solicitors Virtual Internship, Mrs. Deborah Oni, for her closing remark. Is she here? Ma, please, you have the floor. Okay, I don't think she's probably is a network problem, but I'll just thank you on her behalf. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing with us from your wealth or your well of knowledge. You are right. Some of these things that we are being taught, they don't teach us in school. It's something that we even have to pay to learn. And if we say, let us pay you now, I don't think we can, but you're here teaching us for free. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very
No,
much.
it's a pleasure. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you so much for
Please,
paying attention as well. All
yes,
right.
sir. Thank you. Please, ladies, let us connect with our speaker on LinkedIn and every other platform that he's on. And also share your knowledge on LinkedIn and make sure you tag him too. Make sure you tag him when you are sharing what you learned today on LinkedIn. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, ladies, for being here. Right, bye bye. Thank you, sir. Bye bye. Bye bye, ladies. We'll see in the next session tomorrow.